Hello, in this video we're going to look at finding the averages in a stem and leaf diagram. We're going to look at finding mean, median and mode in a stem and leaf diagram. As ever, let's read carefully and get to grips with the data on our page. Jason collected some information about the heights of 19 plants. This information is shown in the stem and leaf diagram. Our key tells us that 4/8 means 48 millimetres. So here is our stem and leaf diagram. We have a plant measuring 11 millimetres, 12 millimetres, 2 measuring 13 millimetres, and so on, until we reach a plant measuring 44 millimetres, and finally the tallest at 48 millimetres. We're asked to calculate the mean, find the median, and asked what is the mode of this data. So I'm just going to note down some of the things we need to remember when calculating these measures. First is this symbol. This is to sum or add up. X represents our data points. N is our number of data, and here it's 19. We were given 19 plants. We could find that by counting the number of data points we've been given. So let's calculate the mean. The mean is calculated by doing the sum of our data and dividing by the number of data. So I will sum up the 11 plus the 12 plus 13, and I'll continue with all of the data until I reach 44 and 48 at the very end. Once I've summed all that data, I will divide it by 19. That is 555 divided by 19, and I calculate that to be 29.2 to 1 decimal place. Now I'm just going to think about my answer and take a look at it in my data. So I've got 29.2 somewhere around here at the end of this row or at the beginning of the next row, and that does seem to represent somewhere around the middle of my data, so I feel confident that's a reasonable answer to the mean of this data. Now I'm going to find the median. Remembering the median is the middle of our data. Now I've got 29 plants here. That's an odd number, so I will have a middle piece of data. If it were an even number, then I wouldn't have a middle piece of data. But I will here. In fact, we find where the data is by doing our n We find where the data is by doing n plus 1 divided by 2. And that's going to give us the position of our middle piece of data. Remembering here n is 19, I will get 20 divided by 2, and that of course is 10. I'm looking for the 10th piece of data. So I'm going to count along 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's that there. Now be careful because that's not 0. We have to remember to read the stem and leaf diagram. 30 millimetres is my median value. Let's look at the mode of the data. The mode of the data is the most common. Well, in this case, I have 13 appearing twice. I have 23 appearing twice. 29 appears twice. 32 and 36 appear twice. And 41. None of the numbers appear 3 times. Now, in this case, I'm going to say no mode. There are too many numbers appearing twice for me to pick one of them to be a mode. So in this case, there is no mode. I want to look now at what happens if we add a piece of data to this stem and leaf diagram. Jason measured another plant and found it to be 49 millimeters tall. Add this information to the stem and leaf diagram. Well, 49 is larger than all the other pieces of data, so I can add on the 9 here, 49. How will this value affect the mean of this data? Well, this value is larger than all other values in this stem and leaf diagram. And if we include it now in our average, it will have the effect of pulling the average up a bit, of increasing the average. So we can say here, okay, the mean will increase. If you want to, you could try calculating the mean for this new set of data and see that adding a piece of data which is larger than all other data will increase the mean. Likewise, if I were to add a piece of data, perhaps at the beginning here, maybe data value of 3, then the mean would get smaller. So that's the effect of adding pieces of data larger or smaller than your first set of data. We're also asked to find the median for this data. And I wanted to do this because here we have 20 values now. We had 19 before, I've added one more. So n is now equal to 20. Remember, I said I would calculate the median by doing n plus 1 and dividing by 2. So that's going to give me 21 divided by 2, which is 10.5. Now I can't find the 10.5th number, but it's telling me that it's between the 10th and the 11th number. It's going to be somewhere here. Now, in order to find what that value is, I take the two values either side, so I can read 30 and 32, and I average them. So 30 plus 32 divided by 2, 62 divided by 2, and that will give me 31. So the median of this data is 31 millimeters. Well, that's the end of this short video. I hope you found it helpful.